I mean, you think about shame. Shame is most often hidden, almost by definition. And then there's an interpersonal dimension, because it's one thing for you personally, internally, to reflect on this. But then if you're sharing it interpersonally in the context of a group, then there can be more shame, right? And it can compound it. And actually that can make it even more likely to go underground. So leaders that are aware of this process, what happens? Then you actually have the opportunity to prepare people for this, where you're kind of saying, you know, you're not alone. You're actually fostering universality by saying, these are some of the things that happen. And this is actually a time for where leader self-disclosure can be helpful strategically, that it makes it a we, not just a you. This is a problem that you have. But as we these issues, I call it, you know, I often talk about the underbelly of things. And sometimes it's looking at the tender underbelly of someone that seems really pretty tough and difficult and something that's intractable. But I do believe there's a tenderness, and not just a vulnerable tenderness, but a sensitivity, even in some of the most difficult, hard and harsh things. So that's often, you know, prejudicial statement sounds pretty harsh and, you know, right. You know, the clinical word mean, it's nasty, you know? But underneath that, it's really something often connected to pain and, again, vulnerability. So when Lee lays out this shame and even that pathway, then you're trying optimally work with that. There's a regulatory consideration here too. You don't want to just expose everybody and everybody out there, you know, they're shamefully exposed, because that will then set up more likely a defensive reaction. But it's as if you want to give a little more room for it, and, you know, surgical work, if you will, related to addressing pain, but also most importantly, increasing the coping repertoire. So it doesn't have to be a defensive rigidity that kicks in, maybe a little more openness, understanding, both for oneself, but then others. Now I have to just say this, because a student mentioned this, you know, what is it? Is this a calling out culture, call out culture? But it's mainly, you know, getting, you know, dressing down people. That's all word phrase, but that'd be how we describe it. And so that has made it even worse. I mean, there's a way which right now in our, you know, in our culture, in our context, you know, social media, all these things contribute to it. You know, people get that kind of public shaming that occurs, right? So it's also wise that the wise leader, there's greater preparation. You want to actually, you know, give some, I would call it softer space for this hard work to be done in, you know, containing. So it's really, you know, you do need to really pay extra attention to this. And then to make it safe enough. I always say that safe enough doesn't have to be safe, because it will not always feel safe, but it does have to feel safe enough.